We're continuing with Bhaktivinoda Thakur's clarification on Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's statement that Varnashama Dharma is superficial or external. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written in the essay known as Sadhu Vritti on Bhakti Aloka about this. From this, one should not conclude that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has ordered us to discard Varnashrama Dharma. If that would have been the case, then he would not have instructed all living entities through his pastimes of completely following the orders of Grihastha and Sannyas. As long as one has a material body, the system of Varnashrama Dharma must be followed, but it should remain under the full control and domination of Bhakti. Varnashrama Dharma is like the foundation of one's supreme occupational duty. When one's supreme occupational duty is matured and one achieves his goal, then the process is gradually neglected. The process meaning the process of Varnashrama Dharma is gradually neglected. Again, it is also abandoned at the time of death. This is what I have tried to indicate in this, that one takes up this and then eventually one moves on to this. This one makes as one's own goal. One starts here, but then one aims to end here. So when we attain the goal of uh, perfect engagement in Bhagavata Dharma, then we have no time for our Varna Dharma and Ashrama Dharma, nor do we have time for Adharma. But we are not talking about this combination. That should be kept in mind, nor are we talking of this combination. Uh, so Varnashrama Dharma has its place, it has its role. Uh, uh, the idea is that uh, one will get time to engage in increasing Krishna consciousness. That is the whole idea. In a pamphlet on the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, titled Sri Harinam in Bengali, uh, by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, uh, he gave an explanation on the relative position of Varnashrama Dharma, Jnana, Bhakti Yoga, etc. He says that in the scriptures we understand as parts and parcels of karma various activities such as Varnashrama Dharma, Yagya, Tapasya, charity, vows, etc. Uh, and he says that even though all of these activities appear to have varied fruits, collectively the scriptures uh, have brought together all these fruits uh, in under certain categories. It discussed, the scriptures have discussed about these fruits in detail and uh, have clearly deliberated and separated these fruits under certain categories, such as enjoyment of the heavenly planets, to enjoy as a mortal human being. In other words, by engaging in the activities of Varna Dharma and Ashrama Dharma, one can go to the heavenly planets and enjoy. One can experience enhanced human enjoyment. One can attain higher abilities, higher capabilities, higher powers, potencies. One will be freed from various diseases, and the opportunity to engage in superior activities. We understand from context, superior activities refer to spiritual activities. These are the prime fruits of Varnashrama Dharma. Now, if you separate the fruit of opportunity to engage in superior duties as a separate fruit, then all the other fruits can be understood to be maic or illusory in nature. One will understand this. After all, enjoyment in the heavenly planets or enjoyment as a mortal human being, attainment of various higher capabilities such as opulences, all of them, by engaging in karma, the conditioned soul, the jiva, attains them. But all of them are transient. They will all be destroyed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead's wheel of time. And what to speak of destroying the bondage of illusion through all of these fruits. Over time, when we engage in these activities, in contact with our material propensities of enjoyment, uh, these become stronger and stronger. Our bondage to illusion becomes stronger and stronger, and therefore uh, these are not to be considered appropriate fruits. That's the idea. Now, if one cannot factually engage in superior duties, then the opportunity to engage in superior duties, that also becomes meaningless. And that has been stated in the Bhagavatam, Dharma Swanishtita Pumsam Vishwaksena Kathasu Yah Notpadayed Yadi Ratim Shrama Eva Hi Kevalam. That if human beings, if even if they engage in their own specific varna duties and ashrama duties and so on, still if they do not attain taste in the form of attachment to hearing and chanting the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His devotees, if by these activities one does not attain that taste, if these activities do not produce uh, uh, a taste for these activities, then all of these engagements in these material duties are certainly useless labor alone. So the prime the prime purport or intention behind Varnashrama Dharma is that in line with our material conditioning, by division of our um, activities of family life and our bodily activities, with little difficulty, very easily, human beings will be able to execute their family life, and they can take care of their bodily needs by engaging in Varnashrama Dharma. If that happens, then one gets a lot of opportunity to discuss Harikatha, topics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If a personality very nicely executes his Varna Dharma and Ashrama Dharma, and despite that he does not attain an attachment for hearing Harikatha, uh, and engaging in discussions of Lord Hari, through discussions of Lord Hari, then his engagement of Varna Ashrama Dharma is merely useless labor. By means of karma or by means of Varnashrama Dharma, certainly one cannot cross over the ocean of material existence. This I have, in summary, stated here. So this is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, that that the greatest fruit of Varnashrama Dharma is the opportunity to engage in spiritual activities. And that was exactly what Prabhupada had in mind when he was talking of Varnashrama, when he was talking of setting up farm communities, when he was talking of devotees engaging in their Varnic duties and ashramic duties and so on. He had the idea that in New Vrindavan in West Virginia in America, he could set up a community that could show how this can be practically demonstrated. And he wrote in a letter to one of the managers there, the New Vrindavan idea is that persons who live there will accept the bare necessities of life to maintain the body and soul together, and the major part of time should be engaged in development of Krishna consciousness. The whole Vedic principle is to develop Krishna consciousness without creating much botheration for the program of sense gratification. So in other words, how can we get maximum amount of time, how can we get an opportunity to engage in increasing Bhagavata Dharma? For that, we need to have a system of getting our eating, sleeping, mating, defending. We have to get together uh, these activities. We have to fulfill these needs in such a manner that we can still not be attracted to them, be not get impelled, not not be overwhelmed by them through various material desires, uh, or be repulsed by them. Rather, our desires for Krishna consciousness can still be enhanced and we can progress in Krishna consciousness. For that, we need Varnashrama Dharma. But if one is exclusively engaged in Bhagavata Dharma without offenses, that is even much better. Varnashrama Dharma can be accepted, but one should understand that it is a material system. It is not a spiritual system. It is a material system given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the Vedas in a manner that is most optimal for our spiritual progress through Bhagavata Dharma. But Bhagavata Dharma does not, actually speaking, require Varnashrama Dharma. This requires a certain spiritual maturity to be able to understand their relationship. Anyway, getting back to this point, the highest perfection of life is to get detached from material attachment and proportionately realize the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The personality of Godhead recognizes a living being who's progressing in that line. Devotional service, therefore, is the culmination of the culture of all knowledge. When Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared for the deliverance of all fallen souls, he advised the deliverance of all living entities as follows. The Supreme Absolute Personality of Godhead, from whom all living entities have emanated, must be worshipped by all their respective engagements. This refers to the engagements within the Varnashrama system through one's Varna Dharma and Ashrama Dharma. Because everything that we see is also the expansion of his energy. That is the way of real perfection, and it is approved by all bona fide acharyas, past and present. The system of Varnashrama is more or less based on moral and ethical principles. There is very little realization of the transcendence as such, and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected it as superficial and asked Ramananda Rai to go further into the matter. So, merely by engaging in Varnashrama Dharma is not going to help bring about realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes through increasing engagement in Bhagavata Dharma without adharma. Adharma is of two types: sinful activities and offenses. When we give up these two types of adharma, uh, then and when we engage in increasing Bhagavata Dharma, then we can realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Varnashrama Dharma is actually meant in order to provide us an opportunity to engage in Bhagavata Dharma. So it is not directly a spiritual activity. That is the point to be understood herein. Sri Ramananda Rai then suggested renunciation of fruitive actions unto the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita advises in this connection: whatever you do, whatever you eat, and whatever you give, as well as whatever you perform in penance, offer to me alone. This dedication on the part of the worker suggests that the personality of God is a step higher than the impersonal conception of the Varnashrama system, but still the relation of the living being and the Lord is not distinct in that way. The Lord therefore rejected this proposition and asked Ramananda Rai to go further. Now, through engagement within the Varnashrama system, one cannot clearly understand the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord's personality. So the Lord appears to be somewhat impersonal, and therefore the Varnashrama system is said to contain an impersonal conception. From the Varnashrama system, one progresses up to realization of the spiritual nature of the living beings, and one might be inclined to realize how he and the Supreme Being are qualitatively one. So it is in this sense that there is an impersonal conception within the Varnashrama system. But when one engages in Varnashrama Dharma by dedicating one's Varnic duties and Ashramic duties for the Supreme Lord's pleasure, then one understands that the Supreme Being is actually uh, uh, a person. He is the Supreme Master who, being happy with us, he provides us the fruit of our varnic and ashramic duties. So one understands this much. This is a little bit higher than the previous level. One is a more mature practitioner of Varnashrama Dharma. However, the clear relationship, spiritual relationship between the spirit soul and the Supreme Lord is not distinct here, and therefore the Lord did not consider this to be a serious proposition.